Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the paper talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford as usual, where it's a bit drizzly, but it's not too shabby. A lot of the news this morning centres around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reaction to the last night's game and some of the fallout from that. Fallout was a happy result. But there's also some transfer stories, as you would expect, which we'll get into a bit later on. First up is what Ollie was saying after United's 3-1 win over Newcastle, in case you don't know. He's saying there's lots of reports, because it's what he said this morning, that he's vowing to fight on in the title race. He's not giving up yet. There's obviously a 10-point gap between United and Manchester City. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, "I am never going to say it's done until it's done. We have seen so many examples of teams that have hung in there, have kept working and have kept doing their own jobs. Something might happen. It's not something we think about. We just think about our own performances. United, of course, have got it all to do to try and catch Manchester City. There's a 10-point gap, and unfortunately, City, I think, have got 18 games winning every game in all competitions, which, knocks you sick, doesn't it?" He said, also went on to say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, "That's the only thing we can control. We have got loads to play for, and as a team, we've got loads to improve on. To build momentum by going on the pitch and playing well is important. We've had a couple of setbacks in West Brom and Sheffield United, where I can sit here and explain why we did not get the points we deserved, but that's not what I want to do. For me, the boys are really focused. We have been good at recovering mentally and physically. It's not easy playing Thursday night and coming back here. Maybe that's why we needed 45 minutes to get going." Yeah, the second half was much better than the first half against Newcastle United here yesterday. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also talking about Dan James, who's had a little bit of a renaissance, shall we say. He said, "It's been a very good week for him. He's been working hard, and there's a couple of games we have targeted for his X factor. He gives us the energy defensively. He's never disappeared." He goes on to say, "He's been working hard behind the scenes and always been available. He's always a player you can use in different areas with his pace. We work with him, we try to help everyone, but of course Dan came from the Championship. He hit a few goals in the first few games, and it is bound to take some energy from you. He has knuckled down and really worked to get back to full fitness and maybe more so confidence to believe in himself." Yeah, Dan James had a good game against Sociedad, and he's had another good game last night against Newcastle. And it's not been an easiest of spells for Dan James since he arrived from Swansea. Had a good start, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was saying, but we've seen him picking up the performances a little bit more recently, and hopefully he can carry on with that, because it looks like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fancies him. And we've always said Dan James could be a useful squad player for Manchester United, and that's what he's been. On to transfer news. I'll start with a potential outgoing, and that's David De Gea. There's been a bit of a debate going on about David De Gea, whether it's him or Dean Henderson who should be starting. Obviously, David De Gea played yesterday against Newcastle, and he's pretty much first choice for most games. But there's apparently, according to the Express, which has come from a story I think started in Italy, that David De Gea is wanted by 3 clubs with a transfer exit this summer is possible. It goes on to say in the article that Juventus, Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain are looking at David De Gea. Not too shabby there in terms of suitors. He's saying that he goes through each club. It says Juventus have Wojciech Szczesny between the sticks, but the Polish international is blowing hot and cold this season. I mean, is Szczesny as good a goalkeeper as David De Gea? I don't think he is, to be honest with you. Bayern Munich are looking for a long-term replacement for Manuel Neuer, with the German international approaching the twilight years of his career. Again, though, how soon is that going to happen? I'll have to see. And PSG are interested, despite Keylor Navas impressing between the six. He's a good keeper, Navas. I don't think he's as good as David De Gea. Maybe I've got red tinted glasses on there. You might disagree. But apparently the suitors there. There were stories doing the rounds, I think, a couple of days ago, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had sort of indicated or said to David De Gea or United board or whatever that either David De Gea or Dean Henderson could possibly move on in the summer, because he had to sort of pick one for first choice, and that whoever the first choice wasn't going to be happy to sit on the bench. I think Dean Henderson came back from his loan on Sheffield United, signed a new deal under the impression that sooner or later he'd be number one here. David De Gea is obviously, he's been Player of the Year 4 times, 4 seasons out of the last 6, so I don't think he's going to be too happy if he's not number one. So it looks like we could have a bit of a decision to make there for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and maybe it will be David De Gea that moves on in one of those clubs that takes him. We'll have to wait and see, though. As always, we'll keep you posted on that one. I'm not looking into it too much at the minute. I think, there's bigger priorities than where our goalkeeper's going to go in the summer, if that happens. Should we have a bit of Erling Haaland news? We've not had a bit of that. Story doing the rounds is that Manchester United will test Dortmund's resolve. This is from the I think it's from the Metro, and it's also been covered in the Mirror. Will test Dortmund's resolve to keep Erling Haaland this summer, just 18 months after the Norwegian striker chose the Bundesliga club over the Red Devils. It goes on to say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave Haaland his first team debut at Molde, and that United are very much interested in him. Obviously, one of the sort of sticking points is the fact that his agent is Mino Raiola. We know we've had problems with Mino Raiola in the past. He's, of course, Paul Pogba's agent, and he's often coming out with statements that drive us all mad. But apparently, United are still in for him and fancy our chance of getting him. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had the backing of the Manchester United board. This is another story to go for him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was talking recently, and he said that he talked about his plans, and he said that we've got a plan to become a very successful Man United team, and a team. And he went on to say, sorry, I can't say anything about individuals in terms of targets, but we've got the backing. Talking about the owners. The owners keep backing the club and myself, and hopefully we can improve the team. Don't agree with that. I don't think the owners do back this club. I think they bleed it dry, but that's a different story. We are getting better. We need to get better than we did last year, where we got to 3 semi-finals. Yeah, he's sort of talking about whether he's got the backing of the board, whether there's targets. He didn't want to name individuals, but there are targets, and he says that the board are going to back him. And a lot of people looking at that and going, Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland obviously absolutely smashing it over in Dortmund. He's got 43 goals in 43 appearances for the club, and it looks like Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still want to bring him in. We missed out on him when he went from Salzburg to Dortmund, but he's still a target from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer indicating there that he's got, you know, the backing of the board. We'll have to wait and see. Another story doing the rounds, which sort of adds a little bit of fuel to that fire, is that United's interest on Jadon Sancho isn't quite what it was. I've run out of, I've lost count, of the amount of Jadon Sancho stories I've stood here, or we've done as a channel, or they've done the rounds in the newspapers during the summer. Every day there was a Jadon Sancho story. A bid has been confirmed. A bid is imminent. United deal has been done. The players' fees have been, or the agent has agreed terms, but United didn't agree a fee with Dortmund. That's why Jadon Sancho never came here. Dortmund apparently don't have the resolve that they had in the summer to demand the sort of demands they made earlier, where they wanted, I think it was around 120 million euros or 120 million pound for Jadon Sancho. It looks like they may be willing to take a little bit less than that, or even a lot less, depending on who you read, because of the financial struggles they're going through. They're not completely skint, but with COVID and everything else, they've not got the sort of money they had previously. Jadon Sancho's obviously a further year into his contract, so it looks like United could get him for a little bit less. However, it seems that United's interest could be cooling. Erling Haaland seems to be the priority, and also the fact that United went and spent 37 million, you know, if you had all the add-ons and everything, on Amad Diallo, who plays obviously in the same position as Jadon Sancho, is causing some reporters to say that United and Jadon Sancho isn't a done deal. It looked like this summer it would happen. After last summer, it looked like, okay, United will go again this summer, and now people are saying, and reports are saying, that actually that might not be the case, with Diallo coming in, with Haaland being a priority. Jadon Sancho is having a good season now. He had a bit of a ropey start to the season, but he's having a decent one, and I'll get onto a funny little story about him later. But yeah, it looks like it might not be happening. Listen, there's going to be lots of twists and turns in the Jadon Sancho saga, because it already is a saga, and we'll keep you posted on what goes on there. I said I'd have you another Jadon Sancho story. I don't know if you've seen this one. It's just a little sort of funny one. That he did an interview for Norwegian TV where he channeled his inner Joey Barton and was talking in a German accent. If you get the chance to have a look at it, just sort of Google Jadon Sancho Joey Barton or Jadon Sancho German accent. Yeah, he gave an interview with Erling Haaland, both talking to Norwegian television, and Jadon Sancho was doing like some sort of German accent, German voice. Now, I know he's been over there for about, 18 months or 2 years, whatever, but I don't think he picked up a German accent. It was all a bit bizarre, and yeah, very much like Joey Barton when he was over in France, or do you remember when Steve McLaren was at FC20 and he started talking about, yes, Arsenal and all that? Very weird. Don't worry though, I'm never going to lose my Mancunian accent. I can't, I've tried, it's just not going to happen. Yes, that's something else to say. Also, a couple of defensive options United are looking at. Jules Koundé often has always been on our radar, and it seems that Sevilla have now identified a replacement for him. They've identified Feyenoord's Marco Senesi, as a replacement for Jules Koundé. So there's a little bit of a potential merry-go-round there. United obviously in the hunt for a centre-back. Jules Koundé has been linked with us, the Sevilla centre-back. We know he's a very talented individual, and it looks like Sevilla have looked at a replacement for him, should United get him. So again, we'll keep you posted on that one to monitor. In terms of Sergio Ramos, that was a story doing the rounds. I'm just going to wrap this up quickly. Looks like that's not going to happen. We didn't think it would. Fabrizio Romano did a tweet the other day where he said United have not contacted Sergio Ramos' agent. I mean, Sergio Ramos, one of the greatest defenders of all time, but I think is he 34, 35 now? Don't see him coming to Old Trafford. Every time he wants to sign a new deal at Real Madrid, he says that United are in for him, and then Real Madrid offer him better terms and he signs for Real Madrid. It's what happens. And finally, United have been looking at another centre-back, Everton youngster Jarrad Branthwaite, who's gone on loan at Blackburn. He's only an 18-year-old youngster. Made a good impression last season, had a few appearances for Everton. They wanted to give him some more first-team experience, keep his sort of momentum going. Sent him on loan to Blackburn, where he's been doing very well. And apparently he's on United's radar. He's only just turned 18. Well, not just turned 18. Turned 18 in June. And United are monitoring him. Looks like he's doing very well there. 6'5", very tall, if you care about that sort of thing, but a very good, young, talented defender, and one that Manchester United could be interested in their future. So that's been the Paper Talk. As always, keep checking out the channel. We've got all the good stuff coming up. We've got the Devils podcast. We'll have the preview looking forward ahead to the Sociedad return leg, of course, and all the podcasts. And when that game kicks off, we'll have the watch along as well. So make sure you're checking out that. If you've not seen some of the fan cams and reaction from yesterday's win over Newcastle, have a look on the channel there. We've got 7 reasons. My good self stepping in front of McCullough. We've got Andy Tate, we've got Stephen House and their reaction to yesterday's 3-1 win. And if you're not subscribing to the channel, make sure you do. It's starting to spit a little bit more. Get a minute spitting. So I'll wrap this up. I've been Jay. This has been the Paper Talk for Stretford Paddock. Thanks for watching.